18 after 9 exactly, and I'm truly pleased to be talking with our next guest. She's an ex-colleague, one of my favorite people, and she obviously is Qaanitah Hunter. She has co-authored a book, 8 Days in July, and it was co-authored by three journalists, herself included, rather News 24 journalists. It's been published by Tafelberg, and this book has come out amazingly quickly after the events it deals with. The July rioting and looting that erupted soon after former President Jacob Zuma was jailed for contempt of court. And here is the lady of the moment, Qaanitah Hunter. Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum salam. Jazakallah so much for having me.
Congratulations, heartiest of congratulations for this amazing feat. Now, before we get to the book, Qaanitah, a wonderful event is happening tomorrow evening, which we at Salam Media are going to be covering it live on Facebook and YouTube. We're going to be at the event as well. Tell us about it quickly before we delve into the book itself.
All right, we're launching tomorrow evening at Exclusive Books in Hyde Park. I think we're a bit oversubscribed now.
So it means I can't come. Okay, carry on.
We're trying to find a seat or two extra, but I mean, it would be lovely that you guys are covering it on Salam Media for us. That would be fantastic. We're launching the book tomorrow. We've been, so since last night was our first virtual launch. Tonight we have an event, and then tomorrow as well. And we're hoping to have many more across the country in weeks to come. But the book was meant to hit bookshelves only Monday, but it went out before the elections, and alhamdulillah, it's been doing very well.
And I'm sure there was a reason for that. Now, Asia-Africa Dialogues, in conjunction with the three authors, are obviously going to be talking about the book. There's going to be a panel discussion, etc. That is the event I'm referring to. It is in fact happening tomorrow evening, is it not?
No, tonight. That's tonight.
Oh, is that tonight? Okay. Yes. Thank you for the correction. So that's happening tonight at 35 Ferguson Road in Ilovo. Tell us who the panelists are going to be. What do you hope to, what do you hope to uncover with these discussions?
Okay, so the main thing is to obviously unpack the project that we undertook, which was obviously very, very mammoth in the short space of time that we had. To just unpack the 8 days in July and bring together the three authors. It's very difficult under normal circumstances for three people to write a book together, let alone under the sort of punishing deadline that we had. With my colleague Kabir Singh, who covered a lot of the unrest in KZN, Jeff Weeks, who covered it in Gauteng, and myself as a politics editor, who covered a lot of the behind the scenes, the political talks, the unfoldings in the security cluster. So we all came with a very distinct offering to the table. And then we couldn't have been a better team coming together and working with our different strengths in putting together this book. And so we're going to be in conversation with Karabukhling tonight in Ilovo. And the idea is to give people an inside view of what it was to put the book together and to discuss the happenings of July.
Okay, so this is tonight at 6 o'clock at Ferguson Road in Ilovo, 35 Ferguson Road in Ilovo. Is that at Africa Asia Dialogues venue?
Yes, as far as I know.
Is this an open invitation? Can people just, attend, or do they need to actually RSVP?
They need to RSVP. Aisha Fakude, AYESHA, Fakude, FAKUDE, at afrasid.org.
Okay, if you've missed those details, our dear listeners, you can just call us here at Salam Media, and we certainly will give you that information. But don't forget, it's going to go out live on Salam Media, Facebook and YouTube. So if you're not in the immediate vicinity, you can become a part of this amazing event. Now, Qaanitah, we know, well, let me just share the foreword by Adrian Besson. He says 8 days in July takes a whole host of issues into considerations and asks the pertinent questions about the degree to which the July riots were planned, key question, what their planners' goals were, another key question, and who exactly were those planners. After 4 months of the book now being published, have you guys come closer to those type of answers?
Yeah. So what was important for us in writing that book is to understand what was going on in the security cluster, because it was not only it was not only the looting that we saw that was also symptomatic of a bigger problem. It was that the security cluster was completely overrun. That, number one. Number two is what was the modus operandi of the instigators and who were the instigators. And so what we did was we brought together reporting of what we saw, what we uncovered, as well as digging deeper in the form of almost an investigative project where we had hundreds and hundreds of leaked documents that we drove through. We compared it, we analyzed it. These are intelligence briefs. These are meeting records from nat joints. These are never seen before documents that we got our hands on as we pieced together each day what happened. And what we saw, what we established, without giving away too much, Julie, was absolutely astounding. Just the level of destruction that was planned. We hadn't heard of attacks on, for example, the Bars Dam. It's sort of synonymous with the Buramak, but that was something that intelligence had uncovered. You also saw planned attacks on the Durban and the Durban port, the Johannesburg airport, or Tambo. You saw it on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange as well. We also were able to get into some of the WhatsApp groups and also to characterize the motive of some of the bodies, the truck driver forums. Why were they involved? Why were they part of the instigators? And to paint this picture of this collision of political factionalism meeting organized crime and then weaponizing the fault lines in society to prompt popular uprising, which obviously was unsuccessful as it turned out to be.
Okay, so all of this is contained in the book, and if we get the book, inshallah, we must go. I think every citizen of the country should get the book and read and try to understand about these very dark forces that try to destabilize the country and people's lives. And I guess this is the type of thing that happens all around the world when there are coup attempts or uprisings or agitations, etc.
Absolutely, but I mean, what we saw in South Africa was quite unique in the sense that it was not any external political force. It found its genesis within the ruling party, mobilizing against the party president, which is something that you had not seen before. And I think that what this book seeks to do is just detail the 8 days, give you the why, the how, the when. And then hopefully others can come in and build on this literature. It's very important. It was a turning point in South Africa's history. Over 300 people died in 1 week. That's, the devastation was absolutely outrageous. 50 billion rand wiped off the GDP. The level of destruction is absolutely unprecedented. And yet, there's a sense that South Africa must just carry on as normal. Yet, this unrest changed so many people's lives in so many different ways. It also was indicative of what a tinderbox South Africa is that can be ignited at any moment for any nefarious reasons or motives. And so definitely a historic moment in South Africa. And it was important for us to document each day. But what you'll also find, Sister Julie, is personal anecdotes of my colleagues who were on the ground, interested in the book, around, just to give one anecdote. Khalil Singh was reporting in Durban, and he paints this picture of how bodies of two boys, not an older and 13-year-old, but just lying there as people were rushing up and down, and they've been laying there for days. Jeff Weeks also, almost being killed in this unrest. I talk about what happened, what I saw when I descended in Durban after the unrest had already quelled, and what it ignited in me, having been someone who grew up in Durban. And I mean, but the picture is quite similar in other places as well, in Soweto and surrounding areas in Gauteng. And so we tell you what happened. We give you the exclusive of what was going on in the security cluster, but at the same time, we share very personal anecdotes, because the effect of this unrest was quite profoundly personal on so many people.
What do you believe, what do you want South Africans to take away from reading the book? How must it change their mindset, and how do they go forward as South Africans? And what is so frightening, Qaanitah, is as you speak, I also realize those that were very far removed from the actual, call it what you like, unrest, rioting, insurrection, people that were, living outside of those areas, didn't feel perhaps the full impact of it, would probably have dismissed it. And don't realize just what a serious situation we are in politically in South Africa, politically and otherwise.
Yeah. So I think the most important thing that we wanted to communicate in this book is, number one, the extent of what happened, and I think we did an excellent job at just painting a picture of beyond what you saw on television or read in the newspapers, giving you the full 360 picture of what was going on. The second thing is to understand why. The third thing is to know that there was a myriad of reasons, and it was not just one thing. And so one could say it was Jacob Zuma, but it was Jacob Zuma, it was opportunistic crime, and we detailed this. It was the weakening of the security cluster, and we detailed, for example, telling you how the security cluster was deeply underfunded during this time, in the run-up to this. We talk about the clashes, the political clashes that were ensuing, the political consequences. And so what this book seeks to do is to paint a picture of a multi-tiered crisis, and that it's not just one thing. It's just not people running out to loot. That was symptomatic of bigger, more complicated, more nuanced problems that existed.
Okay, just to digress a bit here, we've been hearing about unrest or protests outside the Durban University of Technology, to the point where they have actually shut down, I think, till tomorrow, or they're going to assess the situation. I'm sure you are aware of it. Do you think this is the startup of other such insurrections going forward?
I think the point that we make at the end of the book is that nothing substantial has been done to avert the crisis in the future, and we've seen it even when we were writing the book. There were these planned shutdowns that thing, and so it was not completely unfathomable that it can happen again, and that's the worry of all of this, and that's why it's also important to understand. It's important to understand the nuance of all of this. That while it happened and it was devastating, because of the lack of consequences, you're likely to see this happening again, and more nefarious groupings can come together and realize that South Africa can be so easily ignited. And so, whether it is legitimate protest or illegitimate protest, it's very easy to light a spark and see fires.
Congratulations, well done to you and your colleagues. And let me end by saying, and I quote News 24 Editor-in-Chief Adrian Besson, in his foreword, he says, "A masterful, rough draft of history, a history still uncomfortably unfolding." And that for me, Qaanitah, is very scary indeed. That sentence, that statement truly is very scary. And I think All South Africans need to go out, buy the book, understand what's going on in your country, and take back the power from the insurrectors. Qaanitah, wonderful talking to you, and we will be watching the event tonight, 8 days in July. Obviously, it is happening. It is being hosted by Africa Asia Dialogues. It is happening at 35 Ferguson Road, Ilovo in Sandton. But of course, you can also catch it live on Salam Media, Facebook and YouTube. Qaanitah, go well. We're so proud of you. And till the next time, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, jazakumullah khair.
That was Qaanitah Hunter. She is obviously a journalist and also an author, talking about 8 days in July inside the Zuma unrest that set South Africa alight.
These days, I'm more health conscious.